Dear students, in order to felicitate the students of postgraduate of various Indian universities, I am starting a course on nuclear physics. The name of my course will be Foundation Course of Nuclear Physics. The topic of my first lecture will be origin of the nucleus. Origin of the nucleus. So students, to understand the origin of the nucleus, we have to go back about 110 years. 110 years means it is about 1909. In the year 1909, there were two physicists, namely Geiger and Marsden. Geiger and Marsden. These two physicists did some experiment. So what was their experiment? In their experiment, they bombarded alpha particles from a radioactive source on different metal foils. So what they did, suppose this is the metal foil. This is a suppose tube. This is a tube. This tube contains radioactive source. Okay. So if this tube contains radioactive source, the radioactive source that was used by Geiger and Marsden was radium. So this is a tube which contains a radioactive source, that is radium. Now radium is a radioactive material and it emits alpha particles. So what will happen? The alpha particles from this radium source will come out and they will strike this metal foil. Okay. Now in order to understand the scattering of the alpha particle from this metal foil, they placed a lead sheet here. They placed a lead sheet. The purpose to place the lead sheet here was that alpha particles that came in this direction are observed by the lead sheet. And now behind this lead sheet, they placed zinc sulfide screen. Basically, there is a property of zinc sulfide that when alpha particles strike on the zinc sulfide, it gives scintillation. So from this you can see that whether the alpha particle is coming this way or not, because if it is coming this way, it will give a flash of light, that is known as scintillation. So you have a alpha particle from this radioactive source on this metal foil. So you have different particles that are incident on this metal foil. Okay. So suppose if some particles scatter in this direction, then that alpha particle will fall on the zinc sulfide, and here if you place a microscope, suppose here you place a microscope, suppose this is microscope, then you can observe the scintillation on this zinc sulfide, which gives that alpha particle from the radioactive source is scattered in this direction. Okay, so this is basically metal plate. This M dash is metal plate. So this is the rough diagram of the experimental arrangement of Geiger and Marsden. Now in this experiment of Geiger and Marsden, what they observe is that some of the alpha particles are backscattered. Backscattered means that scattering is more than 90 degrees. So this backscattering of alpha particle in this experiment was the main reason that led to the origin of nucleus. Okay. So they present their research on the paper in the royal proceedings. The name of their research was on a diffuse reflection of the alpha particles. On a diffuse reflection of the alpha particles. So this is the name of their research paper, on a diffuse reflection of our alpha particle, in which they present the result of their experiment. So there are many things that Geiger and Marsden did. So I will discuss with you the things that they did. So I have to rub this diagram. So I think now you are clear with the purpose of their experiment. Okay. Now what they did? So the first thing they did is that they used different metals and correlate with the atomic weights. Okay, use different metal foils and correlate scattering with their atomic weights. Now, because I am talking about the year 1909, so at that times atomic number was not known. So what was known was hydrogen. So people compare different elements by their atomic weights. Okay, so suppose you have a element, so the elements were compared that how much heavier they were in comparison to the hydrogen. So they use different metal foils and correlate scattering with their atomic weights. In their original experiment, Geiger and Marson use 8 different metals. They use 8 different metal foils. Okay, so the second thing they did was effect of thickness. Effect of thickness. Suppose this is the metal foil. Now they want to study that whether the scattering of alpha particle is from the surface of the metal foil or is in the interior of the metal foil. Now suppose if scattering of the alpha particle is from the surface of the metal foil, then the thickness of the metal foil will have no effect on the scattering of alpha particle, because surface is surface. It doesn't matter how thick is your metal foil. If the scattering is from the surface, then the thickness will have no effect on the scattering of alpha particles. So they use metal foils of different thickness. Suppose this is one metal foil, and if they place another identical metal foil with this metal foil, then the thickness will get 2 times. So in this way they study the effect of thickness. Okay, now what is the third thing that they did? The third thing they did was fraction of alpha particle backscatter. Okay, fraction of alpha particles backscatter. As I have already told you, backscattering means when scattering is more than 90 degree. Okay, so because they are getting that the alpha particles are backscattered, as I have shown in your first diagram. Now for this third part of their experiment, the experimental arrangement was something different, because the purpose was different, because here they want to find the fraction of alpha particles backscattered. So in this case the experimental arrangement was something like this. Suppose this is lead sheet. Just a minute. So this is a different experimental arrangement for this third part. If this is lead sheet, you place a point source here. Suppose this is your point source. This is a radioactive source. Suppose this is radium. In their experiment they use radium. Now you place metal foil in this direction. Okay, and here is your zinc sulfide screen. Okay, then you place microscope behind this. Okay, here you place microscope. So now what will happen? Now how will you calculate the number of alpha particle backscatter? Now suppose this is a point radioactive source. Now the weight of this radioactive source, you can measure the weight of this radioactive source. It may be in milligram or gram. If you know the weight of this radioactive source, then from the activity of this radioactive source, you can find out that how many alpha particle it will emit per unit time. Okay. Then from the geometry of this metal foil, this is metal foil on which alpha particle has to be incident. Then from the geometry of this metal foil, you will find that how many alpha particle will incident on this metal foil per unit time. Then how many are backscattered? Then you suppose these are the alpha particles that are incident on this metal foil. So some will scatter in this direction, some will go straight, some will scatter this, some will backscatter. Okay, so because you know that how many alpha particles have been scattered on this metal foil, and now the scintillation will tell you how many are backscattered. So from this you will calculate that how many fraction of alpha particles are actually backscattered. So in their original experiment, what Geiger and Marson was found, they found that about 1 particle in 8,000. Okay, about 1 particle in 8,000 is backscattered. is back scatter. It means the scattering for which is more than 90 degree is 1 in 8000. It means 799 particles scattered at angle less than 90 degrees. Okay. Now, this third part is a surprise. This is surprise because alpha particle, backscattering of alpha particle is not expected from this metal foil. Why? I will tell you why. Okay. Now, you know that alpha particle is basically a nucleus of helium. Nucleus of helium is alpha particle. Okay. Now, it means alpha particle basically has an atomic weight of 4 atomic units. Okay. It has atomic weight of 4 atomic units. Now, it has atomic weight of 4 atomic units. Now, when alpha particles come out from the radioactive nucleus, they come out with a large velocity. Because when radioactive nuclei emit alpha particles, the alpha particle emerge with large velocities. Okay, that you have studied in your BSc classes. Okay, so it has a large mass. 4 atomic mass unit is a large mass as compared to hydrogen. Okay, so moreover, when it is coming from the radioactive source, it is coming with a large velocity. It means this alpha particle has a large momentum. It has a, because large mass, large velocity will give it a large momentum. So alpha particle has a large momentum. Okay. Now this when alpha particle with a large momentum is backscattering from this metal foil, this is not expected. Why? Because at that time the model of the atom was electron proton model, that is plump pudding model, because I am talking in the year 1909. Okay, so what is plump pudding model? In the plump pudding model, both electron and your positive charge, at that time the name proton was not come into the scientific world. Okay, so there are two type of charges. One is positive charge and another is negative charge. Okay, negative charge is called electron. Okay, so you have a positive charge and a negative charge uniformly distributed throughout the atom. This is electron proton model of atom that was in practice in the year 1909. Okay, now basically in this alpha particle, the scattering was not due to mechanical force. It is basically due to electric field. Okay. So, scattered charge, if you have a scattered charge, the scattered charge always produces a weak electric field, because you have studied that electric field in your +2 in Coulomb law. You have studied that electric field due to any charge is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught R square. It means electric field is basically inversely proportional to square of R. Okay, it means larger the R, smaller will be electric field. So if you have a distributed charge, it means R is greater. For a distributed charge, you have a greater R. So the larger R, so the large R will create a weak electric field, and that weak electric field will not be able to deflect this alpha particle which possesses a high momentum. So this is a surprise, and Geiger and Marson were unable to explain the backscattering. Okay. So they did all the experiment, but they were unfortunately cannot explain the backscattering. Okay. Now come the Rutherford. After that, Rutherford came into picture. Okay. Basically, experiment was done by Geiger and Marson. What was the genius of Rutherford? So basically, what Rutherford did? Rutherford said that the experiment of Geiger and Marson is absolutely right, but this backscattering of alpha particle cannot be produced by distributed charge. He said that at least one type of charge has to be concentrated in a very small volume, because suppose if I consider suppose if I consider now the structure of atom like this. Suppose one type of charge is concentrated in a small region. Suppose the negative charge is distributed, and in a small region the whole of the positive charge is concentrated. Then you will have electric field due to this positive charge is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught R square. Now this electric field will be larger as compared to the electric field due to this positive charge. Same if same positive charge is distributed in a larger area, and if the same positive charge is distributed in a smaller region, the charge distributed in a smaller region will produce more electric field, because electric field is inversely proportional to R square. And if it is so, then Rutherford did the calculation and he found that this R must be approximately equal to 10 to the power minus 12 centimeter or 10 to the power minus 14 meter. Then only this charge will be able to produce enough electric field that will deflect this alpha particle in backward direction. Okay, so this is the genius of Rutherford, and Rutherford represent his research in his paper entitled The Scattering of Alpha and Beta Particles. This is the research of, I will tell you the name of the paper in which Rutherford expressed his original research. Okay, that was The Scattering of, the name of the paper, The Scattering of Alpha and Beta Particles. The scattering of alpha and beta particles by matter and the structure of atom. Okay, so in this way Rutherford modified the structure of atom. Okay, basically this is in year 1911. So after Geiger and Marson, Rutherford after 2 years explained their experimental result. And students, this is how the nucleus came into the scientific world. Okay, so this Plumb pudding model or this electron proton model was replaced by this Rutherford model, in which one of the positive charge, basically at that time Rutherford do not specify that which type of charge it has to be, whether it is a positive charge or negative charge. In his original paper he has said that it has to be one type of charge, either positive charge or negative charge. Later on it was found that it has to be positive charge. Okay, so this is the origin of the nucleus. Okay, now there are many other things that are also challengeable in Rutherford model. That was that if you have a positive nucleus at the center that contain positive charge, then the electrons are revolving around the nucleus, then the stability of nucleus was another issue, but that we will not discuss in nuclear physics. It is the part of your atomic physics. Okay, so I think now you have a clear-cut understanding of the origin of the nucleus. Okay, so that's all for today. In my next lecture I will discuss with you some of the basic concept of nuclear physics, like what is binding energy and how that binding energy is helpful in explaining the stability of the nucleus. So thank you.